Careblazer, I want to ask you something and I want you to really think about it. Before the obvious memory problems or confusion or repeating of questions over and over, before you started realizing, oh my gosh, something is wrong, you're Googling symptoms, you're trying to make phone calls to get an appointment made, before all of those more obvious signs, did you perhaps notice that there was something off about money? Maybe your loved one started missing bills. Maybe they started giving money away to people they barely know. Maybe they weren't able to balance the checkbook or stay on top of their finances the way they always had in the past. Maybe they gave their credit card to a scammer and then did it again. Now, truthfully, these kinds of things can happen to anybody. So it might be that we didn't think too much about these things at all. After all, we've all missed a payment here or there, and the scammers are getting really good. Inside of our weekly support groups that we have inside of the Care Collective, sometimes Careblazers bring up things like, looking back, I started to realize the first signs weren't actually her memory at all. They were that she wasn't even opening her mail. Or, my father gave away $3,000 to somebody, a grandchild that he barely talked to. Or maybe that their desk area, office area, the bills started piling up and they were always so organized. If any of that sounds familiar, you are not alone. In fact, research is finally catching up to explain why this happens and why it's happening so early, years before an official dementia diagnosis ever gets made. So by the end of this video, I want you to understand why money problems are so often a first sign of possible dementia, what's actually happening in the brain that causes this to happen, and what you can do about it, whether you're still in the very early stages of concern or you are deep into caregiving already. So let's make sure we understand what we're talking about here, because it's not always a big, dramatic, obvious sign like somebody giving away their entire life savings, although I have worked with a handful of patients who have done exactly that. Sometimes it literally just looks like missed bill payments, missed credit cards, forgetting to pay rent. For somebody who is most typically organized, who's been on time in their bills for decades. It might even look like unusual purchases, for example, subscriptions they don't remember signing up for, donations to unfamiliar organizations, or packages arriving in the mail that nobody can really account for. It might look like falling for scams, like somebody calling and claiming to be from the IRS, a grandchild in trouble, or even being the winner of a sweepstakes that requires a small processing fee in order to claim your prize. People who would normally never be fooled by such things are all of a sudden falling for it. It can also just look like being more generous, giving more money away more impulsively to people they barely know, organizations they barely know. And it's so easy in this case to just maybe think, well, they want to see their money go to good use rather than die with their money, or they have every right to spend their money in the way that they want. All of that is potentially true, and it muddies these waters about what might actually be going on, and if this could be an early sign that some brain changes are happening. These changes often start small, and they can happen to anyone. We've all been there. But what research is now showing is that these can be signs that something is coming, that dementia is coming. Here's why we think this could be an early sign of potential dementia. Managing money is one of the most complex cognitive things that we do. Think about what managing money actually requires. It requires working memory to track what you've paid for, what's still due, sustained attention to read documents, bills carefully, to be able to do basic math skills, to be able to rely on our executive functioning, to be able to plan, organize, execute, and the ability to evaluate risk. Is this a safe site? Is it not a safe site? Is this a legitimate bill? Is it not a legitimate bill? Is this phone call, the person on the other end, someone legitimate, or is this a scan? There's so much decision making and judgment that also goes on in financial management. Money management relies on so many different skills and abilities of the brain at the same time. In fact, researchers are now considering managing money a sort of stress test, a cognitive stress test to see how the brain is doing. So when cognitive decline begins to happen, even at a preclinical stage, meaning there's no other outward signs, there's no official diagnosis or anything like that, money management tends to be one of the first places the brain starts to struggle. And here's what the research actually found. And I'm going to link all of the research below in this video. So if you click on the description below this video, I will link out all of the references for you so you can go check it out. But this is the part I really want you to know. So there's a landmark study that used Medicare data linked to a nationwide credit bureau, the records of the nationwide credit bureau, and they found that people who were later diagnosed with dementia were already showing elevated rates of missed bill payments as early as 6 years before the diagnosis. 6 years. And their credit card scores were dropping into a concerning level about 2.5 years before the diagnosis. That means for many years, the brain was already struggling silently years before anyone, including the doctors, were able to connect the dots. Now, why does the brain show up here first in terms of difficulty managing money? It happens to do with which regions of the brain are often impacted by dementia. One of the key regions involved in financial planning, financial decision-making is the orbital frontal cortex. This is a part of the brain in the prefrontal cortex that's responsible for evaluating risk, weighing consequences, assessing whether something is truly good for us or not. And when this area starts to show changes, even subtle changes, that ability to recognize, this phone call isn't adding up, or I shouldn't click on this link, that starts to erode even when much of their other functioning areas seems relatively normal. Also, the hippocampus, which we know is the brain's memory center, is another early part that's often impacted, especially in Alzheimer's disease, the most common type of dementia. So when that part of the brain starts to struggle, being able to track recurrent bills, being able to remember due dates, knowing whether or not you already paid for something, keeping accounts organized, all of that becomes much more difficult. The brain literally cannot hold on to information in the way that it used to. In many ways, early financial difficulty as somebody ages can be an early warning sign, an early distress signal that something's going on here. And unfortunately, there are some very human ways that we all respond to these kinds of missed bill payments, maybe falling victim to a scam, giving away money. Sometimes the natural way we think about it and respond makes it even harder to recognize. So for instance, number one, it's easy to assume this is just part of normal aging. Lots of older people maybe miss a bill from time to time, same as younger people. What we're looking for is a pattern if this is continuing, if it's more than just one missed bill payment. It's so easy to normalize what is gradual. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago in terms of normalizing our own stress and minimizing the need for help. Because these changes in what we're doing gradually increases, we kind of adapt. Well, the same goes for our loved ones that we're trying to care for and look out for. Number two, money's uncomfortable to talk about, especially in our society. We do not bring this up very often, and we don't talk about it up front. So some family members might feel uncomfortable or sensitive to bring this topic up. Number three, because we often hear about how dementia involves memory problems, we sometimes want to wait for more evidence or more clues that something serious is actually happening. So we might be looking for some clear memory lapses and poor judgment in order to make something out of what we're seeing with their finances. Sometimes, I've been guilty of this myself, is sometimes we want to jump in and just help our loved ones. Especially for me, in my case, I just wanted to help my aging father. So when I saw that he was struggling to buy something, I just wanted to come in and help him by helping financially pay for the thing that he wanted without pausing to think, wait a minute, is this something, knowing his finances to the extent that I did, he should have been able to afford himself. In my effort to actually want to help him, I may have hurt him by missing some signs that he was not making the best financial decisions. And number 5, responding to scams with frustration instead of curiosity. It is natural when a loved one falls victim to a scam to feel frustrated or even to feel taken advantage of financially. But responding with anger and frustration abruptly sometimes can make the person kind of close off and not want to open up and not be open to help. Instead, stepping back and being curious about what actually happened here. What were the things that made this a possibility that can help. So speaking of, let's go into more practical ways that we can help if we suspect that our loved ones are starting to show changes in their ability to manage finances. Number 1, take financial changes seriously. Consider them an early warning signal of something medically happening. We need to rule out whether something medically is happening. Don't just sweep it under the rug. If somebody who has always been financially responsible starts missing payments, starts making unusual purchases, starts falling for scams, especially because it's a new pattern, it's worth a conversation to bring up with them and to encourage them to bring up with their doctor, or if possible, you even bringing up with their doctor. It can open up doors for earlier assessment for possible cognitive changes and for sure support planning and safeguards in place. Number 2, as uncomfortable as it might feel, have an early, no pressure, non-accusatory financial check-in with your loved one. Instead of, I'm worried about your finances, or I'm noticing you're buying some things that don't make sense. We can phrase it as, let's check in on things together financially just to see where we stand and make sure everything is covered. Kind of just really normalize it as we're doing a financial check-in. Number 3, set up safety nets early if not already in place. Things like recurrent bill payments, bank alerts for unusual activity levels or unusual activity. Also talking to the bank about even giving you or another trusted individual view-only access to bank documents. That way, you're more likely to catch when something seems strange or off while still leaving that person with total control. Again, we're not looking to take away all their independence. We're looking to protect it as much as possible. And finally, if a diagnosis of any type of cognitive impairment has already been made, start your financial and legal planning now. A durable power of attorney, a trusted financial contact on accounts, a conversation with an elder law attorney. The earlier this happens in the diagnosis, the more protected your loved one is, the more they can be involved in the whole situation so it doesn't feel like everybody's talking about their money behind their back, the less chaos and less potential for big consequence down the road. We are all just doing the best we can with the information that we have. But now what you may have already witnessed in your home years before a diagnosis, right now, research is just now showing, yeah, what you're seeing is true. And because many healthcare providers still don't have a great understanding of dementia, many healthcare providers still expect that a person has to look confused and have memory problems before we take something seriously. It means that it's on you, it's on me, it's on all of us sometimes to advocate for our family members and bring up concerns with healthcare professionals and put some of these safeguards in place. We're not overreacting. We're not trying to take over control. We are trying to protect. We are paying attention. This is one of the most loving things you can do to protect your loved one's financial security. So I'm curious, did you notice any changes in your loved one's ability to manage finances before the official diagnosis? You can leave a comment below this video and we can see each other's situations. Also, if you are interested in more information like this, research-backed, practical, honest, please know I have a weekly Dementia Dose newsletter where I share information like this every single Thursday. You can sign up for free by clicking the description below this video and clicking on the link, or simply go to our website. You can go there anytime, www.careblazers.com. You'll see a link where you can sign up for the Dementia Dose. And if you're looking for even deeper support, join us inside of the Care Collective, where week after week after week, we come together, we support one another, and we brainstorm and help each other out through the toughest, most challenging caregiving situations. As always, Careblazer, I am sending you so much love. Bye.
Also, Nico gets a belly rub for every person who subscribes from this video. So if you haven't already, click the red subscribe button. It's totally free, and Nico says thank you very much.